touch base is entitled Effective Note-Taking. That's the topic that we are going to do, and I'm so grateful to our first presenter because she did most of what I'm going to discuss, so we will not waste much time, I promise. Okay, so we are talking about effective note-taking, and there are some handouts that are being distributed there. But for those that have your Bibles, there's nothing we do without the scripture. So we want to make reference to two passages that we'll make reference to. The first one is in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2. Anyone that finds it, please to read for us. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2. Okay? Yes, my sister, you can read for us. Oh, okay. Habakkuk, who has found it? It is in the handout that you have received, but it's not complete. Yeah, so you have to open your Bible. Okay? Sister Lovisa, if you have it. Yeah.
Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2.
Yes.
And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run and readeth it.
Okay, so that is the Lord that was speaking to someone. And that word is not old. It's still the same today. It's still fresh. Okay. I've been told that you can also have access to the soft copy that is in the youth group. Okay? So, write the vision and make it plain. That's what we are going to focus on effective note-taking. So, my presentation is divided into 5 sections. The first section that we are going to consider is why note-taking. Then the second one is when do we take notes. Then the third one is how to take notes. And then the fourth one, we are going to look at the tools that we use for note-taking. And then the last one, which is usually the ultimate goal, is the benefit. What are the benefits of note-taking? So we will run into those. If you didn't catch them, you will catch them as we start treating them item by item. So I'm sure, and you will agree with me, that what we are treating here, it's not taught in our regular school system. There is no subject that say in this subject you'll be taught how to take notes or how to listen. Is there someone who has ever been taught that in their school? Okay, 1, 2, amazing. Okay, there are two people. That's good. Okay, so we'll expect contribution, especially from the two of you. Okay, so it's not taught usually in school, so that's why we have to make it a priority for us to talk about it. Now, why is note-taking important? For us students, note-taking is of paramount importance because it determines whether you become a successful student or a failure. Okay? You imagine this is a classroom where your future is being determined. What you hear is what will determine your grade, is what will determine whether you pass or fail. How are you going to enter in that class? Will you just enter there clueless, without a pen, without a paper? No. You will make sure that you have your pen and paper to capture the points that are very, very important. And this is where we need to debunk the filing cabinet fallacy. Okay? So we have heard, of course, which we agree with, they say the brain or the mind is one of the most powerful tools that you have between your two ears. Yeah? That is mostly correct. But we are also going to find out why it's very ineffective to rely on your memory alone, to come to a classroom, to sit and you don't take any note of what is being discussed. It's detrimental to your success because your brain has limitations. One of them is what we discussed earlier, that is the limitation of distraction, but also your brain is prone to forget things. Someone said your brain is like a leaking bucket. And I saw when the first presenter gave us a question, after she gave us a small story, I was surprised how much I didn't capture in that interaction. Why? Because I did not actively take note. I was just relying on my brain to take in and absorb what it is that was being discussed. Now, this takes us to our second point. The second point is, still on the first point, on why we should take note. Another reader, please, to open Hebrews chapter 2, verse 1. Hebrews chapter 2, verse 1. Okay? Bella, you can read for us quickly.
Therefore, we ought to give more earnest heed to the things which we have heard, lest at any time we should let them slip.
Okay, so let me paraphrase it for you. We need to pay attention, to give earnest heed. Earnest, by the word earnest, we mean careful, pay close attention to what you are hearing. Because if you don't do that, you will forget easily. You will let it slip. And one of the backup systems that God has provided us with is the ability for us to write the vision down. And that's where the note-taking comes in. That's why we made reference to Habakkuk 2:2. Write the vision down so that he may run with it, the person that sees it. And you who is taking that note, you are the first beneficiary and partaker of that promise. So there are two stages. Now we are in the when. When do we take notes? There are two stages in which we are expected to take notes. The first stage is what we call the in-class strategy or the in-class stage. Okay? That is the first stage. That is the in-class stage. In the in-class stage, which is just like this lecture that we are having here, this is a class. You are expected to jot down some few points that are crucial, important to whatever that is being discussed. Yeah, you don't have to write everything verbatim. Yeah, everything that I'm saying word for word, but you focus mainly in jotting down just the most important aspects that are being discussed and get back on track to listen. Because remember in the first presentation that we did, you can't be multitasking, you will not succeed to juggle the two. So you must make sure that, yes, you're multitasking, but pay attention, focus. And when you capture something that is very important, jot it down and then go back to the flow of listening. So that is the first stage. In the first stage, you are really taking rough notes of what it is that the lecturer is teaching you, what it is that your teacher is communicating, the most important ideas, and so on. Okay? Then there comes the second stage. The second stage is what we call the after-class strategy or stage, or out-of-class strategy. That's when now you have left this assembly, this classroom. You are now back home. And the first presenter mentioned something that is very important to this discussion. At the end of every class, at the end of the day, make sure you review what it is that you were listening to, the classes that you are attending. And that's where the second stage of note-taking comes in. In that second stage, you are now trying to fill in the gap of what it is that you heard whether you are trying to fill in the lacunas, right? The empty portals that you left because you were maybe writing too fast and paraphrasing things in your own words, which is very important. So that's where you can be detailed, you can refer back to the textbook and so on. So those are the 2 stages at which you are expected to take note. And then now this leads us to our next discussion, which is how then do we take notes? In taking notes, we rely on the first pillar of our presentation, which is effective listening that we just discussed. For us to be effective recorders of whatever it is that we are listening to or that we are trying to capture, we have to effectively listen. And as we listen, we need to process what it is that we are listening, filter out what is unnecessary, and capture what is key, what is crucial. Okay? We need to listen, process what it is that we are listening, filter out the unnecessary, and capture what is important. So you can see that is it's an exercise on its own, right? It's so engaging. We will be exercising our brain in the process. So we have to be very, very careful that in the process of note taking, especially when we are in the second stage, which is the out of class strategy, you don't spend time highlighting your textbooks. And I think those of us that have Bibles here, physical Bibles or soft copy, sometimes when you read a passage, especially I see it in our parents, when you check their Bible, almost every page is full of lines and so on. And, in my heart, I always just say, maybe by the time they notice it, the whole Bible is underlined. So, highlighting or underlining does not retain, it does not show retention. It's simply for identification. Okay, we highlight just to identify. Maybe you are looking for something quickly in your textbook. If it's highlighted, you will see it very quick because it's highlighted, but it does not at all mean that you are able to retain that information. So we should not be carried away with highlighting and so on, especially with gadgets and so on. You will be highlighting, but there is nothing that is being retained. Our effort should be spent more on retention. Still, on how to take notes, now there is a method that I want us to look at, which is very, very helpful. One of them, the first method, it's called the SQ3R method. Okay, Bella is nodding. Seems like she has heard it from somewhere. The SQ3R method. Can you say it with me? The SQ3R method. Once again, the SQ3R method. Okay, so I will break it down with you. The SQ3R method, the S stands for survey. Yeah, that's when you are reading a textbook, you need to survey the textbook, and I will explain that. The Q stands for question. Okay, and then the R, the first R stands for read. The second R is recite. And then the third R, which is the last, is review. So in the first stage of the SQ3R method, the S, survey, what does it mean? It means when you are back home, you are studying from a textbook, say you want to look at a chapter in economics, right? Economic crisis. Let's say that's what you are studying. So that's the chapter. So the first thing before you start reading, just scan through the chapter. You just check the heading. You just check the headings of of that chapter, if there are any diagrams, if there are any bold headings, you read them quickly. It's more like you are just surveying to kind of like have a scan and have an idea, a mental map of what this chapter is all about. That's what you do in the first stage of surveying. Then in the second stage, you now go, after you have scanned through what is the chapter all about, you now go to the heading. And that's where now the question part comes in, the question. Say, for example, there is a heading, and that heading reads, the causes of financial crisis. Right? So that's the heading in that chapter. The causes of financial crisis. So in the question stage, how are you going to flip it around? Students, how are you going to flip that heading, the causes of financial crisis? How are you going to flip it around in the second stage, which is the Q, the question? Okay, Dinaldo, you can try. Yeah.
In the questions, I'll say, what are the causes of financial
Excellent.
crisis?
What are the causes of financial crisis? So you see, by that, even when you come to the first R, which is read, you will quickly go now and start to look for that question which you have flipped around to try to find out what are the causes, right? So we are already in the first R. So you read with understanding. Yes, Brother Samuel?
Yeah. And what is crisis?
Yeah.
So that I'll be able to understand, and before I even put the two words together, what are these financial things we are talking about, and what does crisis mean?
Okay, thank you. So it's still the question stage. Now we are going to the first R. The first R says read. What are you doing in that first R? You are connecting what you did in survey and question. You are now reading with a purpose. And that purpose is to find the answer of the questions that you flipped around for each heading. Are we together? Okay. Then after you have found those answers, right, what follows? You now want to close the book and try to ask the question and see if you will answer it. That is the recitation process. So you have now to recite whether what you read, the survey that you did quickly and the reading that you did, you will be able to remember, okay, so what causes economic crisis? Is it inflation? Is it market failures? Is it crisis in the housing market and so on? So you will start brainstorming. If you find out that after you close the textbook, you can't remember, what should you do if you are a good student? If you are a very serious student, you can't remember. Let me see my friend there. You are holding yourself like that. What will you do if you find out that after you recite, you can't remember? What should you do? Yes. You will do what? You will repeat. That means the things you did not grasp what you are doing. So you repeat again the process until you are able now to grasp it. Then we come to the final stage, which is the review stage. The review stage is almost like you are trying to consolidate everything that you were doing, the survey and so on. You are connecting the dots. It's almost like the second stage that we spoke about, the out of class stage, where you sit down now with the textbook and you start filling in all the gaps. Now that leads us to our second last topic, which is the tools for note taking. I'm so glad that when we walked in this class, in this discussion, in this seminar, we were asked, how many of you brought a pen and a notebook or a paper? And of course, as usual, there was few of us that did not bring the pen and paper. But then, are those the only means of note taking? Are those the only tools that we have at our disposal for note taking? For example, I didn't bring any note, neither a pen today, but I took notes. How did I take my notes? Okay, yes. You can speak without the mic. Speak.
If you have a device and like the place where you take notes, you can just type it.
Thank you very much. So, the world we are living in is now very versatile, right? You can do recording. This meeting that is taking place here, you can record it. By the time we finish, just 5 seconds after we finish, you can transcribe everything that was discussed at a fingertip. I will challenge you. Are there benefits to that? To you? At that moment? No. Say, for example, you just sit passively, you don't take any notes, you are just recording, and then it will transcribe, because there are now softwares that are doing that. Does it really stick in the brain as opposed to when you take a pen and paper and just jot down some few things? No? Brother Bruno, no? It doesn't. So the benefits are somehow different, right? Okay. So we have gadgets, methods of taking notes, and pen and paper, or the physical handwriting process. All of them have their cons and pros. But of course, you will understand that for we at school, especially as you progress to university level, you will find out that there is so much you can do when you are writing with your hand as opposed to when you are using computers, especially when you have to do a vast literature review and so on. So you see that the gadgets, the laptop or computers has a lot of advantage. The pen and paper has advantages, but they don't outweigh the electronic way of capturing notes. Why? I have about 500 something notes that I've captured so far here in this gadget. And sometimes when I need to get access to what I captured, I just go in the search, I just put a keyword. It will pull out all documents that has that keyword. And before, especially when I have to prepare, maybe there is a sermon or a message I want to preach or to teach, I just type in that, it starts linking me to different sermons that I captured, maybe that was preached by pastor, by brother who, and I start getting points, and quickly, before you know it, I have my new sermon that I'm going to preach. So that's the advantage of these electronic methods of capturing. But again, it has its cons, the distractions that we spoke about. Before you know it, instead of writing notes, if you are not well disciplined, you are on Facebook, you're on WhatsApp, you are doing ABC, and you will miss out a lot. So when you're in classroom, we highly recommend that you have a pen and paper. Yes, you can have electronic note taking. It's good, but always have a journal besides you. Don't make your brain a filing cabinet, because it's not. Yeah, rely on external hard drives like this. External hard drives like your notebook, your journal, which you can make reference to. Another bad habit that you don't want to fall into is taking notes in pieces of paper. Yeah? This one, you can go and ask to any serious student of life, it doesn't work. You take note, before you know it, the paper is there, another one is there, and so forth. So have an organized journal where you jot down important things that pertains to life or your study and so on. You will be more effective than having a lot of pieces of paper in your house. When you want to look for something that you remember, you took note, you have to go through piles of papers and so on. So you are not organized. You have to be organized, okay? All right. So that is it with the tools that we use to take note. And now there are different also systems of or strategies of taking notes. There are some that they call mind mapping, where you are just jotting out idea and how those ideas are linking to each other. That is mind mapping. So you link idea, this idea links with that one, and so on, and it helps you to study. For example, if you have a mind map, you just look at your mind map like that. You can see all the points leading to the different ideas. So that's one way you can take note. There is also another system that is called the Cornell system. That system simply it just forces you to separate the raw notes that you are taking down and vis-a-vis the summaries that you have organized in your system. So in all this that I'm saying, the summary is this. Note taking is not a simple task. And because it's not a simple task, that's why so many people don't like to engage in it. They prefer just to sit back, lay back, and listen. Why? Because it involves listening, it involves filtering, it involves organizing ideas. So it's a lot of work, and it involves too much multitasking. Multitasking was one of the disadvantages of concentration. And so many people don't want to multitask. They just want to eat the meal, and by eat the meal, I mean listen, just enjoy and laugh and so on and go. But, and this is why now it is very, very important that we master the skill of note taking for success, for us to be able to succeed in life, not only academically, but even in your life, in other life. And this is the last point. What are the payoffs? What are the benefits of investing time into note taking, listening? What are the benefits? One of them is that you are going to have excellent academic grades. Okay? And I'm sure all of us, when we heard about the back to school program, we were coming to hear what are the secrets. You are going to have excellent academic grades, so better grades. That's one of the benefits. It will help you become a better writer. If you are someone who listens, be it a church service, you are taking notes, there are some words that you will come across that are a bit difficult to write, the spelling. But you will not know that they are difficult to write if you don't write. So you will just go on like, okay, he spoke about this word, fallacy. How do you even spell it? You don't know, right? So, but if you take note, you will even underline, because you are not sure how this word is written. So you will underline it. When you get back home, you will flip back and see that, okay, this is how the word fallacy is written. So note taking improves your ability. It makes you a better writer. And then it also causes you to have a promising future. So maybe you are going to get good grades. After you get good grades, then what? After you get good grades, you pass very well. Let's say grade 12, you pass very well. University, your first degree, you finish, you pass very well. What lies ahead? We are talking about benefits, the return on investment. What is the benefit? You are going to land into a wonderful job, or maybe you are going to become a wonderful entrepreneur because you now have a very excellent grade which opens doors for you. So all in all, note taking improves your attention, your retention, and it makes you a better writer. So that is our discussion for the topic effective note taking. Okay, I'm going to stop here and pass the ball again to Sister Kemi for some Q&A. Okay.